What up? What up? What up? It is the return of the Shark Cove for Summer Split. I am super excited. It's been a while since we've been on air. I wasn't on for the whole MSI. I think it was like, man, it must have been all the way back in EU Masters. And yeah, man, it's time to get in. It's time to make the exceptions. Even though this is only a 2-game slate, I think that there's a lot of things that we can talk about. A lot of things that we can find value, maybe a couple futures. So I did, bring somebody on that, can talk about futures and can talk about it a little bit more intelligently. We always like to have intelligent discourse here on the Shark Cove. But we also have, the mussings of the moose. And so without further ado, he apparently made it. I hope he's not fucking eating any food, but he does have some pussy. What up?
Yeah, we got pussy in the house.
Oh man, Moose, how you doing? You've been begging me to be on the show or to do a show, and then I thought you were going to be late, and that was.
I'm bored. What can I say? I'm bored. When I'm back in the States and I'm not traveling or playing DFS, I'm just chilling. So.
That doesn't explain why you were late, but that's okay.
I'm not late. You're late.
Look, if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late.
Yeah, sorry, it's gonna be a little bit dark in my room because the sun's like really, summer heat's coming in, so it'll open up in a little bit, boys. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Good.
Hopefully, we bring somebody with more IQ than me.
Yeah, it was almost just going to be me and you, and that wasn't going to work out. Well, I mean, it would have worked out just fine. But I did want to talk some futures. It's a 2-game slate. So we're going to bring somebody that's a little bit more versed and intelligent in betting. Although I do think that he and I are going to have a budding of ways to approach the beginning of a split. This man, a little bit more conservative, and that's probably the safe way to be. But we've got Talati joining us. We are not live soon. Let's take that down.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Hey,
it's been a while, boys.
Yeah, it's about time we got started. I've been waiting for this. It's been a moment. May sucked. May sucked bad. Okay, we need action. MSI was bad.
I feel like I needed to have something. It's all I had left in the fridge. I gotta go restock. So we'll have to deal with this for now. Cheers, gents.
Yes. I have this, and this is it's called Hide Your Heart, and it's because
One of the ones you were linking.
Yeah, it was one. I mean, I have like the double stuffed Oreo apple brandy one. I'm gonna drink that one tonight. I've got a really busy schedule starting next week, and so I won't be able to be as much of a degenerate as I was maybe in the spring split. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. Well, I don't know. We'll find out. It's probably a good thing in most ways, but nevertheless, we're still going to be doing Shark Cove. It's still going to be on 5 nights, 4 nights a week. We're still going to have maybe a drinking show here and there. We're still going to do projections, and that's still all free. At least through my projections. I know that you've added that to your Patreon. I know that there are other people doing projections. I do recommend that most people that are getting projections probably should aggregate those. And, when it comes to projections in the early season, I just, quite frankly, I mean, I haven't looked at yours. I haven't looked at anybody's, but I've just got this feeling that most people are going to be way off. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the moose in the room, the bear in the room. I don't know, just one of these names. And it's the meta shift. And, I've been talking about it. I've made a killing on the ERLs and the lines. And while they've kind of adjusted, I think that most people outside of maybe this little circle and a couple other places are not prepared for the wonderful gameplay that we're going to see in these, 12 to 3 games. I've seen a couple 10 to 5 games. This is going to be it's going to be kind of hard to figure out exactly how you're going to project these game totals.
Yeah, I know. I kind of included a note in my first of all, what I'm doing is just like it's aggregated last season stuff and then toned down a few percent, assuming what we've seen so far. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to play out that way, but it looks pretty convincing, So I don't entirely disagree with you, Chris. Like I'm with you. It's looking. I mean, we've got average 23 kills a game in the LFL right now, something like that. It's a really low amount.
They're not even offering the lines in the LFL, and I think the LFL is not the most indicative one, or in terms of how much this is going to be an impact. But if you look at the first week, let's say look at the Prime League, for example.
It's a 5-kill difference in the LFL, and that's not even that big a difference compared to the Prime League.
Well, yeah, and the Prime League was just absolutely nuts. I mean, the week 2 before the shift started, a lot of the lines were at 29, 31, 33, because they just were having those type of bonkers games. Now those lines have shifted to like 26, and I don't even feel good at 26 because when these games go under, they go under, and they go under by a lot. It's not to say that there aren't games that go over, and I think some of the games that last an extremely long period of time, you see less of that durability. But the early team fights, I mean, it can just be a situation where people survive or a couple people survive, and it's just not as crazy of a game as maybe it was trending on like 12-9. I think we got past that. Like, at the start of season 12, it was the same thing. The books took a little time to adjust, and then all of a sudden, like, the teams and players started to adjust, and they figured it out, and the games got bloodier, and then they dropped this on us. And to my point is, when you have these early season advantages, you have to try and take advantage of them, because the lines are never going to be more in your favor than they are right now. Yeah. If you can at least identify it. Like, you could still be wrong, but I think that in most cases you're still going to be wrong. Even if you know exactly what it is, the lines are good. Maybe you're going to be wrong, like 40 to 60% of the time, depending on how good you are in the variables. But like, you have an opportunity. Like I said, these are hitting. I don't have the exact numbers. I've been out of town, but I know like day one in the ERLs, it was like 80%. And until those lines started coming down, we were seeing like 8 or 9 out of 10 games a day hitting unders. And that's a nice percentage until they started to adjust those numbers down or up the juice. I mean, I saw some unders at minus 130, and you really need to be at 70-80% if that's going to be the case in what you're paying. Moose, have you done any watching or any research on this? I mean, have you noticed it in your ARAM games?
No, my ARAM games are still popping off. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I just blame the LCK and T1. I feel like every coach just says who's the top teams and what do the top teams do, and they follow that. And a lot of the times that comes down to games with low totals, I guess. If you can mathematically do everything exactly like a robot does, right, and you do it exactly the way, which is your win condition, then you're gonna win.
Yeah, but so Moose, what's the bigger effect? And I know you've kind of been checked out on this. You're getting back in. This is your kind of getting your feet wet here. But they changed the durability of people.
Yeah, no, I know about the durability update. Actually, it makes the games better. I think a lot. I think it makes the games a lot better.
I think it's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people that haven't been paying attention and don't understand, because these DFS scores are going to be a lot lower. My concern is that the LCK, for example, may really embrace this and take this to an extreme. We might see, some 9-2 games. That game that we were all afraid of.
I mean, we've all seen these before. Yeah, Jin Air and T1 going
we've
60 minutes with 10 kills, and
there's been Brion games with like 5 kills, right? Like 5.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing, right? Like, I guess kind of it's not even a narrative, but like, to me, I take a cautious approach to this kind of stuff just because it's so easy to wrap yourself up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so easy to get confirmation bias, to get like your anchoring bias, like what you see. I happen to agree with you on this one, Chris. Like, I'm with you.
Look, I doubted myself. I found a way to think like, well, maybe if they're super durable, they'll just have longer games. It'll be super fiestas. And then like, I think that first game hit on Monday and it was like 10-5, and I was like, nope. And then I just hit every under from there.
So like, I remember when they first announced like the changes for this, and it was like on the PBE. I was looking at a lot of it, and my first thought was like, oh, well, this is just gonna make like your Lee Sins and your Olafs and your base stat champions insane. And a lot of times when the base stat champs are insane, they're skirmish champions, like your bruisers, right? Your Olafs, your Aurelias, your what have you, right? And in games with a lot of them, it can get Fiesta-y because they're very all in. Like, they're in or they're out. So you can get games where it's like, okay, no one's dying, or it's just going to be like 40 kills because it's nonstop constant fighting. So I wasn't exactly sure how it was going to play out, but and it may end up being somewhere in the middle. but I definitely think it's probably going to be more toward the underside. So I am with you on that.
Did they play MSI with the update?
No.
No. Okay,
MSI was on 12.8. This is going to be 12.10 B, I think.
Well, and at least the nice thing that we did have to judge with these ERLs, which didn't make sense to me, but they started the year off on 12.9 for 2 games, each one of them. And then we moved into 12.10. So we do have like a before and after compare and contrast, but I mean, we've seen this entire week. The LFL has been super low. The Super League was pretty low. I mean, NLC's had a couple pop-off games, but the other thing that it seems like is when teams get significantly ahead and like you see these 7 and 8, kill leads, it's really hard to come back from that. And you might say like 7 to 8 kills, probably hard to come back from that at a pro level, but like in an ERL level, it's not really that much of an issue, especially if they're early, because your advantage just isn't necessarily like you're not getting anything for those first 7 or 8 kills except for a little bit of gold, but that just means so much more right now, or so it seems. And yeah, I mean, I'm slamming these unders. I mean, I think these LPL unders, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Vince, but they were unders were like 25, 26 towards the end of last season anyway, right?
Yeah, it's it depends on the teams, but yeah, that's a pretty safe. It was like 26.5 would be like your league average if I had to.
Yeah,
by the end of the season.
I think most projections that I had, if I was just putting like a baseline projection on a game, it was like 16 to 8.
Yeah,
so like 24 kills, somewhere in that range. So yeah,
some teams higher, some teams lower. So.
Yeah, so smash the unders and we'll see how it goes. It is what it is. So let's hop into futures. I know I didn't bet a ton of futures, but LPL futures. The LPL kicks off tomorrow. Let me bring up the screen right here. I didn't prepare. I want to bring that one. Share that one. And here we are. Is that big enough for you to see? I think so.
Looks okay. Maybe a little zoom.
That's perfect. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. So when we look at this, I made another case, and this was one that you pushed back on me as well, and it's okay. I get it. I made a case for the MSI hangover, at least being something of some substantial value. Like it's not this like overwhelming case. I mean, when you're looking at a 55 to 60% win rate from those teams, you're probably getting plus money. But in terms of futures, it does give me a lot of pause for RNG, despite the fact that they made a significant upgrade. At least that's what I think most people believe. I think all three of us are in agreement that Breathe is better than Bin. I think that he fits well into this team, and their coach can do no wrong. So I think RNG, is set up to, be successful here. The plus 350 is right, but I don't want any part of that plus 350. And Vince, I know how you feel about Victory 5 with rumors of Rookie not playing for some or all of this split.
No, he's gonna play. He's just got a visa situation right now. That's what's going on with that.
Okay.
So he'll probably be back in a couple weeks.
But
like I don't think he's gonna miss significant time. I was just kind of cautioning people at the beginning.
I thought it was crazy how quickly people were taking him in the best ball drafts, given all that. But it is what it is. But plus 400 for
different. You're getting the position, right? You're getting the position on V5.
Yeah, but okay, rookie versus somebody else. It's a little
big difference. Yeah, rookies don't grow on trees. So,
yeah, like we've got Victory 5 here at plus 400. I don't like almost anything here, Moose. I'm gonna kick it over to you. You've been a little quiet. Is there anything that stands out for you on a future here? Did you max bet JDG? Do you need me to put some money on JDG for you?
No, we're done with JDG. Okay, we're done. We're done with JDG. No,
okay.
I can't. Why you gotta burn me like that? You totally stifled me.
Well,
I'm surprised that I guess the totals make sense for RNG because they won, and they just won MSI. But what do? They go and cut their top laner and trade him out for the other guy. So good for them, I guess. But honestly, I think top esports looks appealing as always at 5-1. But what were they last season, like 8-1 or something? Or no, they were closer.
Top esports.
I can take a look for you real
top
fast.
esports was plus 450 last, but yeah.
Yeah, man. Like we didn't do a lot of pods we didn't do a lot of talks about the LPL playoffs because the playoff format for the LPL is just stupid. But the fact, like, top esports, just like they're always in it, baby. They're trash all season, and then they come in and they just figure it out, man. They just figure it out. I was just so surprised to see them do so well. And when you see them in the finals, you're like, oh, of course, of course they're gonna be in the finals. Like if you skip the entire spring season, right, the whole spring split, and you're just like, oh yeah, like from last year, like I love top esports, and you're like, of course they were in the finals, bro. I didn't even watch the spring split. You would have no clue that like they sucked for like 2 months. They just sucked.
Dude, they
So
reminded me of an NBA team so hard, right? Like they reminded me of like one of these NBA teams that coast to like a 6 or 7 or 8 seed, but like they're
just
clearly like the 1 or 2 in the conference or something.
they're so sandbaggy, man. I don't know what
Yeah.
it's like the Lakers, bro. Like it's like they're supposed to be good, and when you put them in a playoff spot, I guess they'll play well. But until then, they're just gonna suck. But it's just your typical like letdown spot until playoffs comes around, and then they decide to play well again.
So,
But
people's made some good points about this. And I mean, I fell into it. There's no bigger top esports believer than me if you went and looked at the best ball teams in all the LPL, LCK leagues. Anything that I'm in, I have like Jackie Love, Knight. I have a 4-stack in one of them. So, like
whoever their support is, go ahead. Yeah.
I don't have their support in that one. I think I have Wayward in every single league.
Yeah, I saw you picked up Wayward a lot, and I don't know, maybe
Yeah,
they give
you
Zhao
beat me to the
Peng
punch on him
some-
a couple times.
Yeah,
Who knows,
so-
dude? If Zhao Peng got better, like top esports is gonna be a good team, dude.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think at plus 500, that's okay. I mean, the two teams that really stand out, or it's everything after that really stands out for me. Those top 5 teams, I probably really don't want any part of. I don't think you're getting a good enough price, or the teams are good enough at the top 3. I don't want to bet plus 350 on a team coming off of MSI, despite the fact that I think that they should be the favorite. Victory 5 flipped heads so many times in a row that it came up to bite them. At plus 400, that seems like a crazy spot. LNG's not that good. JDG shouldn't be plus 500. They're a wild card for sure, but like I think this disrespect of EDG at plus 550.
Yeah, EDG is disrespected.
Weibo at plus 800, and Vince, I know you threw this out there, and I believed it too. I put it in a different Discord. Can't even remember which one it was, but it was BLG at plus 1100 seemed like a good spot to me.
I think so. Anytime you're looking at futures, get your notebooks out. I guess a little lesson time, but anytime you're looking at really any betting market that's not two-way, and especially if it's not a two-way market, like whether it's a 3-ball in golf or a futures market or group betting in any kind of thing, the best thing you can do is just add up your implied odds on everything, calculate the book hold, and look at what you're dealing with, right? So I just took, the average of all of these, and your book hold's going to be, somewhere in the ballpark of 37, 38%. That's looking across a couple different books at these LPL futures. And that's actually not terrible compared to what we usually get in League. But keep in mind, that's essentially a 37% VIG, right? If you throw out all the teams that, let's just throw out the teams that we don't think have a chance of winning. Like realistically, you could say there's value on some of these long shots, like relative to what their actual odds are, but like none of these bottom 6 or 7 teams are winning this league, right? I mean, we've seen E-Stars, we've seen Victory 5, right? It can happen, but just for the sake of this exercise, let's throw those out. Let's look at the top 10 teams, right? You look at the top 10 teams, almost all of the hold is concentrated at the top. It's still like a 33+% hold rate. So like, if you divide that up, you essentially need you're adding 3.3% to each one of these teams. You got to think of it that way. So like that's chance to win the split period. So like if you like RNG, you got to be looking upwards of 25% if you think they're a quarter to win this split, and that's the same for a lot of these. Like it's not all that different. So I don't like any of these high-priced teams. I think they're all pretty good. I think it could happen for any one of them. I think if you're absolutely feeling the need to take a shot on someone, I think your best bet is probably like a BLG, FPX, or Rare Atom. Because like that's a team that's likely going to be a playoff team, and you're getting a price that's good enough to, you get some wiggle room to maybe play a hedge or, have a nice advantage spot in the playoffs if they, get hot at the right time. But all these other teams, you just need so many things to go right. And I think you're going to have better chances as the season goes on than to just bet it now. That's my thoughts on it.
Fair enough. Let's see what else they have. We want to cover TCL or CBLOL, LLA.
I don't know. You probably know some CBLOL. Who's the hotness there?
Man, I have
sweat
not.
something with
Look,
you.
I can only follow so many leagues at a time, and the ERLs have taken over the CBOLL. So, cool. We've got that. Let's hop right into the game lines here and take a look at a couple of things. I do think that there's some advantageous opening day TCL lines, and maybe we'll talk about that later. Maybe we won't. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I don't know. But we've got Invictus versus Weibo. We've got FPX versus EDG. Let's talk about this both in the thought process of DFS, but also this betting line. Moose, I know you are a big IG guy, so I'm going to start it off with you. IG plus 320 here, plus 1.5, minus 105. We've got some game totals at 25.5, a 7.5 spread. What goes on in your head when you think of IG and this team that, look, you don't have to ask yourself. They're not good, but are they good enough to win?
Yeah. They're good enough to win. Just commenting on also in the comments, Prodigy said the WBG plus 800 is good enough for him. I think that if you're betting futures, you can look at the stats like Gelati does, which is smart, or you can bet on the Chads. And WBG, they have a couple of Chad players, but they're not a Chad team. Okay. So
look, I don't understand
the Chad system.
Why are people surprised that On is starting over Sword Art? Like everybody was drafting Sword Art, like Prodigy was drafting Sword Art, like he was going to start, like he hadn't been on the team.
On is good. I don't understand why people.
On is he's good. He just doesn't perform well fantasy wise.
Well, good news, you don't die. You don't die in Summer Split. Summer Split, nobody dies, so On is fine, right? Like it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to be 1 and 3.
He plays Alistar, and he doesn't play him like Saigon Buffalo did, where they flash level 1 Alistar to get kills and stuff.
It doesn't matter. You can't do that anymore. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work anymore. So I think that this is a clean plus 1.5 spot for me, because I need June to light up one game, and if he lights up one game, they win. So I feel like that for me is an easy bet. I feel like at the start of a season, there's going to be a lot of questions about closing out clean games, and I think WBG are overall a clean team, and they usually start, even when they were suiting, they usually started pretty well with their season openers. But I feel like the line here is still too large.
So here's a question I have for you, Vince, though. Like when we think about this game, and if this game is going to change to a slower, lower kill total, doesn't that kind of play into the fact that that's how Weibo almost played at times last year? Does that make them even worse of a fantasy target? And
was that 2-kill game or whatever they had?
Yeah,
like a 6-kill win, 9-kill loss.
I think they lose down 8 kills or something, or they won down 8 kills or something. They had a couple weird.
It was like the first game on a slate. I stayed up for it. And I was like, yeah, it's just this ruined my slate.
Yeah, they're a weird team sometimes, but I don't know. I think what ends up happening a lot of times, if this meta ends up playing out this way, it's a big if, right? That's obviously none of this really applies as much if that doesn't end up being the case in the LPL, because who knows? Sometimes leagues are just completely divergent from what everyone else is doing.
I mean, look, the LPL.
Look at Europe. Look at Europe last year. Europe was kind of just doing their own thing.
I mean, what if Weibo comes out and decides to draft Callista? Man, they're not going to win the series then.
Yeah, I mean. It was a solid bait attempt. But yeah, I don't know. To me, this number's too big for day one.
Way too big for day one.
It's too big.
Bong is a Chad. Don't get me wrong. He's a Chad. All right. Who's starting for IG? Is it On? Because I would say
for IG.
Wink.
It's Wink.
Yeah.
It's not a Chad move. I don't like that.
I gotta say, IG's not actually that bad. They weren't a playoff team, but I think of the non-playoff teams, they were probably the best one.
They're young. They have talent.
They're young. Talent. They have good individual players. They just kind of, and they're actually not that bad, mid and late game. If around objectives, they're pretty solid for the most part. Now that's what they were. I don't know if that's going to stay the case, but their problem was they would get themselves behind, and then it wouldn't end up mattering that they were, good as a group if they're just down goal. Like they're just going to lose. So
And let's be honest, if there was a team that forced fiestas, not as consistently in the past, but we did see shades of the old Invictus and this new Invictus. There was, that one series against Victory 5 where they just speed ran them the first game and then just fed like no one else the rest of the series.
I would also say, Weibo, they sometimes have these series where they're just like, oh, we're just weird today. Like we're gonna hard commit to split pushing, even if it has nothing to do with the meta, or they're just gonna pick some weird shit. Like they every 6 series or so, it's just a real odd one with them. It doesn't. It seems like it doesn't matter who it's against either, right?
We talked about this when Top Esports played Weibo, and everybody sat here telling me that they're gonna win. Remember?
Yeah.
And I said the same thing. I was like, look, they're not Chads, so they can't win. It's the odds were like same thing. It was like minus 300 Weibo or something. And I was like, what are these odds? But yeah, in this case, opening bell, and I feel like a lot of good things can happen. And I think IG just needs one like good veteran piece. I don't know if it's Wink or who, but they need one like decent veteran player to like lead the kids, and they can probably do something better this year than 5-11.
Yeah.
I could see them finishing 8-8 if they find the right combination.
I could see them sneaking into playoffs, like especially if the game stays this way, because this kind of plays into like what they were trying to do the second half of last season, and they were not bad at it. They just would sometimes get beat up in lane really bad, and I think there's a lot less of that happening now. So if everything, basically, the other thing to remember is like if everything is more compressed, not just in team quality, because everyone's been able to practice and prepare for this. One, you have like that effect where it's the underdogs have more time. Like this is the best the underdogs are going to be all season, right? A lot of the time, because once the season gets going, a lot of them get worse as people figure them out, right? If you're going to have the one thing you're good at, and people haven't figured it out yet, now's the time to take advantage of that. Like historically, I think there's also the fact that anytime we've seen meta games where it's just like, okay, this is slow, this is whoever makes the first mistake. You've seen good teams just lose in those situations too. Like if every game is closer to a coin flip and there's a lot less blowouts early on, then that's another dog situation. So I mostly just think this price is too big.
Real quick, Twitter follow is it's Brewer IPA. Brewer IPA is the way.
Brewer
IPA.
Way to go.
That's the one I checked.
Or the other.
Even though he said he's not going to watch the show anymore because I took his guy, and
there's a bunch of people.
And then he was the first comment, so I know it's not true. That's the one. Yep, here it is. This one.
You can go to the Japanese or the Chinese sites.
No. This is it. This is where.
So Vince, let's talk numbers. Like, what do we like here? You like the +1.5?
I like, yeah. I bet the Invictus map spread +1.5, but I don't hate the money line or the kill spread either, especially with lower totals. And I don't hate the under.
Wow, so, I think 100 Thieves Academy is going to win this game. Big surprise. It's 40 minutes in, and Callista is doing no damage with 4 items. Who would have thought that could happen? Anyway. Oh man,
I'm not taking the bait. You're gonna keep. Sometime you're gonna catch me one time.
Oh man, it's all right. It's okay. All right, let's go into the next game. I'm gonna grab another drink while you start us off here, Vince. We've got FPX +315. Against EDG, a former powerhouse that has taken some blows. This one has a 7.5 spread with a 25.5 over under. What are we thinking? What are we looking at? And I'll be right back.
Yeah, I same spot. That's a dog look. I think more bullish on EDG than a lot of people are.
Why?
I think why? Because if you look at their actual like game-to-game performance and their performance metrics, they were like them and top were like your 2 best teams if you're doing like a strictly modeling standpoint.
So do you think we see Zhao Zhang again this season?
This team, I do think RNG were. I think those were your 3 best teams. I think top EDG and RNG were the best teams in the split. I think all of them were better than Victory 5.
Do you think we see Zhao Zhang this season?
Maybe.
Because I think Zhao Zhang is a better player than Flandre.
I mean, it's possible. I don't know. It all depends. It's I don't know. I'm not watching their scrims, so I have no idea. I think both of them are good players, but I don't know, just like sticking to this one. I took the dogs again, mostly because I think FPX are a lot better than people seem to think because they don't have like FPX doesn't have name brand players, so people just say that they can't possibly be that good. You know,
So
I'm not saying this is a team that's like in that elite tier, but like if you look at how they performed last season, even with all the roster shakeups, they were really, really good. And their young players stepped in and played really, really well on the fly. You know, it's not like they had like their growing pains or whatever. Like they were a pretty fundamentally solid team for a young LPL team too. So I think there's a chance that they actually are just a split better with the young kids. And now that they have this roster solidified, they don't have as many of those, you know, things to deal with. Yeah, I don't know. I think they could be pretty good. I think FBX were maybe like the like the cutoff for me for like good teams.
okay, is Jay still good?
No.
Okay, so
Jace is way worse now.
so
Jay-
Flandre
Jay's-
believers so Flandre believers can leave the chat. So look, I love this FPX team. I mean 30-1, like if they were 50-1 to win the LPL, I would take them, but 30-1 is
30
still
to 1's
enough.
close.
It's
Like
close.
I
I don't
actually
think
that's
it's
the only
enough
future I really considered.
because for me, they're just too young, right? But they're like what I said. They have the veteran talent. They have LWX. They have Hung. Hung is a great caller. They have a good support. They have a good bottom lane as long as they can hold their own. The care kit is good. Their entire lineup I really like. But if you guys notice, I've been taking the Jalahu guy everywhere. I love this kid. I
He's
like
a
this.
fantasy beast.
He's a fantasy monster.
Now I
And
don't
he
know if that's
popped
going to
off.
continue to be the case,
No,
but
it will be the case. Don't worry. He's a Chad. That's
Let,
the
let
thing.
me ask you something. Like, who's excited to like? Do you think? And we're gonna see it. I just don't know if we'll see it tomorrow. I don't know if we're gonna have to wait a week to see it in one of the major regions. But do you think that we're gonna see some Kale games in the LPL in the first week?
you might. There are a couple players that have played it, including the Shy. By the way, I should mention that because the Shy is no stranger to playing stuff like that, right?
Oh man.
Another thing working in FPX's favor is Hong is one of the more versatile supports. Like he's one of these guys that even when it's not necessarily in the LPL meta because every league's kind of got their own thing going on, he's one of these guys that will play enchanters. It's not like he's not a completely different player when he's playing them as opposed to, you know, someone like Sword Art, right? So Hong will kind of do a little bit of everything. So if they're willing to do that, stuff like Lulu Twitch is insane right now. Yumi Twitch, yeah, stuff like that. So I don't know. I just think this team, since they don't have the name brands, like they don't have name brand carries. That's it. That's the only thing that's the only reason people aren't talking about that team more.
You know what's crazy? Despite all the durability, and I didn't mean to do this because I did see that the comment just popped up here. You know, I don't know if he was watching earlier when I initially intended, but you know who's been dying a lot despite the durability? Fucking Crown Shot, man. This BDS team has looked atrocious.
You just had to take a shot.
He knows. He knows. Look, he knows. We talk about it every single game. He knows. He knows. It has been absolute grief city for this guy. Adam and Reeker have come to this team that was one game away from winning the LFL Spring Championship, and this team has pulled together one win and have looked like trash at the beginning of the season. So just I had to say it. Yeah. All right. So what are we playing for DFS here? Are we playing like a little FPX IG? Is that what it is? Is that
I played some double dog.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
I think it's live here, like legitimately, and there's a good chance that you're gonna have very low ownership on them. So,
I mean, what can you get with like you can do
anything you
captain.
want.
You can do anything you want today.
Literally anything you want.
Well, not with the dogs, but even with the favorites, you can get anything you want.
You can get, yeah. I actually kind of like. I like two gamers that are kind of like this. I know a lot of people don't, but when you're able to kind of build whatever, like outside of, when you're able to do anything you want with with one dog, it actually creates more diverse slates more often than it doesn't. Like I think a lot of times people will just slam the chalk, but like especially in this mid favorite range, right? Like anything like minus 200 to 500, people kind of are a little more willing to back an underdog if it's not like 1500. That's just like pure perception, by the way. There's like no logic to that whatsoever.
Sure.
But you can kind of do whatever. Like if you like one of these more than the other, I'm kind of.
I don't know if you can do, and I'm checking it right now. If you could do,
I might have missed something, but I was fiddling around with it earlier, and it was.
You can't do like a 4-3 with a Viper captain, but I know that you can do like a 3,
With a
like a
jungle
3-4
captain.
with a scout. Like you can get some
Yeah.
mid captains in there. So I mean, you can see the amount of work that I put into projections here. I just have all the 5, 3, 2, 1.
I love it.
Zune was the only one that actually got a higher grade, and then we marked down Yikai, or however you say it. I'm sorry. It's one day in and I'm already fucking up names.
Oh no, that's the best part.
Tony, baby.
Oh man. All right, so yeah, I mean, I think that's a point to look at, but let's take a look ahead at some totals because I've been a kind of a total talker.
A total stand.
Yeah, let's take a look at a couple
understand.
of these. Yeah, man. Because I think, like, look, this Anyone's Legend game, and granted, it's Anyone's Legend, but it is Rare Adam. That one's at 27. I thought that one looked really good.
Dude, fire and ice those teams, man.
27. Ultra Prime OMG is the one that does scare me. But this is at 28. I think you're getting the value there, and
Yeah.
I think I have to believe most of these go down after the inevitable lack of kills that we're going to get from FPX, EDG, and Weibo. These are not 3 teams that we would have classified last year, or maybe even into the year before, as teams that were high kill teams. They're not necessarily. They do play on that. They just want to get business taken care of. When it comes to FPX, they were probably one of the lowest scoring teams last year. Weibo obviously was low scoring in wins, and I just feel like EDG will do what they got to do to win. I don't think they care. They got to get back. They got to get to Worlds, and they got to defend their title.
You're looking ahead to. Oh, it's just this match. Yeah,
No, I'm saying as a whole. I looked at all the games. Like we're at 27 or 28 for the rest of these games. Like 26 was the LNG BLG going into the 12th. I mean, look, we're stuck with these horrific 2-game slates for a while until the LCK starts. Why can both of these leagues not start at the same time?
Because one plays more. What's called?
I don't care. Like
I know.
that's not my problem.
True. That's true. Symmetrical versus asymmetrical schedule is the answer, but.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
start out.
I'm with you for the most part. Or how about this? Why don't you just make it a 4-game slate, even if it's not on the same day? They hate doing that, though. They hate doing it.
Yeah, it holds the money together, or it holds the money over the tape. But there's nothing going on Saturday, right? I mean, I don't know.
Actually, if there's any time for them to do that, it should be now because it's kind of dead on the sports calendar, like the major sports calendar right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like. I don't know. I pitched the idea, like, was it last week, that we should have cross sport. That would be super fun.
Yeah,
let's get some. Was it live golf and LPL slates?
Yeah, then we can play me and fucking Pat Mayo. I'm gonna tag him in a bunch of stuff and just call him Paul from now on.
What's up with the LCK futures? Is it just pretty much T1 to win it all plus 100 or what?
I don't see them on Bovada. I did see them somewhere though.
I can check.
365 has them. I think Penny has them too. I haven't looked at them because let me take a look. I was kind of scrambling to get all this other stuff done. Yeah, Penny has them up too. It's the same thing. The LCK is like plus 100, plus 200, plus 200. You want to talk about concentrating all this stuff at the top in that league? Like that's it. I do think, by the end of the season, we kind of figured out that despite the COVID situation with Gen G and like they kind of got disrupted or whatever, I think it's really those three. I actually think those three teams are pretty evenly matched. Like I know everyone was all like hyped on T1, and I had T1 outrights for MSI, but I wasn't sitting here saying like this is a perfect team just because they had a perfect record, right? Like they were very good, but I think like Damwon and Genji are like right there with T1. I think now that they've seen some other teams actually show that this team's vulnerable, they can be beaten, and you're gonna have Genji with an actual full season.
It's a good point, though.
Like,
a good point.
Damn one lost Hoya. Who cares?
Yo, dead ass Hoya might actually be pretty good in this meta. I mentioned that in my look. I wrote like a little like half paragraph on the roster changes in the LPL. But if he ends up starting, I don't know if he's even going to play for them. But
are you going to give credit to the Chads of this meta, Fretted Brion?
Yeah, actually, maybe.
Bro, they're not. No, like, bro, like they're gonna pick Callista. It's just.
Well, no. So here's the thing, right? It looks really, really smart when you're doing that, and nobody else is, because you're just kind of like, nope, I know who I am. I'm just doing my thing. It's like the tortoise and the hare, right? But when everyone's doing the same thing, and all of a sudden you have to play the same game as everyone else, they look a lot worse. So
I hope you guys are ready.
and teams get comfortable with it. I mean, that's the big thing that we see through the progression of the split, and with champions that might not have been in meta before, you might not play against as much, and people learn how to play against it and what they need to do. And when you're the only person playing Callista, you don't get those reps, or they don't get those reps against it. When all you have to do is just go get a dragon, man. Just get one. You're probably okay. Game's over.
I think if you're going to play any outrights in the LCK, it's got to be one of the longer shots. I like Nongshim 50-1 is probably Nongshim and Kwangdong 50 and 40-1 are probably.
Well, I also heard that DRX was going to be good.
I think DRX will probably be pretty good too.
I heard that they were invincible in scrims. That's what I heard.
There you go. So. 18-1, 20-1, depending on where you look on them.
It's funny, Kevin, because actually I did look up the win rate and I was going to bring it up, but it's like 60%. So is Jace, but I mean, so that just goes to show you, like we always say, win rate doesn't mean anything.
Anchoring bias, yo. but also that it cuts both ways. I think you can make both cases there.
Are you guys ready for a Damwon Kia Lava? It's coming.
What?
100%. They're gonna. One of the top 3 teams is gonna try to get Lava if he's good this year. He's really good, man.
I know he's really good.
But what are they going to do with Showmaker? Like, do you think
Showmaker plays AD carry? Hello?
No, Showmaker gets just a butt ton of money to go play in the LPL for somebody. That's what's going to happen. Although I don't know, man. If you're hearing a lot of Joe, you don't want to judge everything on Joe Marsh because he's a very West-facing general manager. But you hear a lot of like the people, even if you're reading like Inven and all that, a lot of the LCK owners and teams are kind of like realizing what's happening now. Maybe you see some of them pony up. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. I think you can't really bet any of these top 3 unless you really like one over the others. I kind of don't. I think they're all pretty good.
Does this new meta open up double LCK for domination? Double LCK lineups running it back? Because I mean, if everything's gonna be 10-5 and we're gonna get a nice 22 kill game out of like KT or who knows, Brion or something, then that might take the cake.
If you get leverage on ownership, the more you flatten everything, right? Like the more flat the distribution ends up being, or the more not flat, the opposite. The more arch the distribution tends to be. Like if everything is kind of grouped toward the middle more, and that goes from like a 68% in your first standard deviation to like a little more than that because everyone's kind of doing the same shit. A lot of these teams, it makes ownership way more important, right? So like if everyone's scoring within a pretty close range of each other, but one of those teams is 5% owned and the other one's 30% owned, then yeah, give me the 5% every time. It's not always like that, right? Like sometimes that's too cute, but I think if it ends up playing out that way, yeah, I think there might be something to that.
But I think what you might see if this plays out the way that I think it is, I mean, it's not to say that these high scoring games don't happen, because they do.
I mean, what's called had a 60 kill game this morning.
Yeah, I mean, that was yes, I know exactly. Like that one.
Yeah, it was the
that
last
was one
game today.
Well, no, there was one of the first games today, and it was one that I had I had an under position on. I only have like 4 or 5 under positions today.
Oh,
and
go
that
and
was one
game
of
war. That's what it was. 44
them.
kills.
Oh yeah, that one too.
That was also a 48-minute game though, so never mind.
But those two teams are also very evenly matched. I thought it was like a minus 115 on both sides. I thought that was the correct odds. I had a hard time picking both of those teams. I think I just kind of abstained from it as a result of that. But I think what you're going to find is that there's going to be 1 or 2 games, and it's just going to it's going to break the slate. Like we're going to literally have one of those games. We talked about it, especially I remember Moose being like, man, it used to be like 30 plus kills and you'd be like, it breaks the slate. Now we got guys chanting nuclear at 24 kills combined. And literally it might be the case if a team can get like one of these 20-3 wins or 20-4 wins and they get like 20 kills on one of the maps, they might just end up being that team. And teams that are able to stay competitive and get kills in losses, I think is going to be very valuable as well. So those are a couple things that I'll probably be looking to target as we get the evolution of some of these teams in this patch. I've got it brought up on my screen. I didn't realize I wasn't sharing it. LCK futures I thought were crap. I thought the LEC futures had a couple of interesting positions. Vince, I don't know if you looked at this, but the one that stands out to me is clearly XL at plus 2,300. This is a future champion here. Like how are we not betting XL and Nuke Duck, right?
That's some real fiend. I don't know if you want to go by. This is what I say. You can't pick and choose. This is why you can't always listen to like what players say, because if you're gonna pick and choose that way, you're gonna filter your goggles however you want to see fit. If that's the case, listen to what Perks is saying, and Nuke Duck just has been shitting on him in scrims, and bet XL now because it's the year of the duck, right? If you actually are going to point to players saying shit, then feel free. But right, you see what I'm saying? Like you can't pick and choose here, right?
Dude, put $100 on Astralis. If they win, you're going to
good luck. Who's gonna let you bet $100 on that shit,
bro? Who's even on Astralis? Like I don't even remember who's playing on Astralis.
Doesn't matter. Look at the odds, bro.
It's a bunch of fucking guys.
It's gonna be like one of those Leicester situations, right? Where they like win it like 16-1 or whatever.
Yeah, books aren't going to let you. Like I think I bet CLG.
They'll let you.
Most
books either have a cap for like will to win X, and they'll set you, or they just have like a flat limit, or your ticket's going to get reviewed, and that's
see. Astralis has.
What it's worth, Excel were 25-1 before last season, so this isn't.
Bro, how could you bet on this team, Moose? This is, I mean, you've got Jaeyoung Hoon, Kobe, Dejor, Xerxes. And Vissasachi,
what a team!
But it is definitely.
Bro, this guy only looks good on Vex, and Vex is like one of the worst. Like
right now,
relations. Like, yeah,
I don't know, man. She kind of gets helped a little bit by the durability changes. She can get through lane phase. It almost doesn't matter how much farm she gets for what that's worth. I don't know. Let's see.
What about Misfits?
LEC
Misfits plus 1,000 Misfits.
That's like, I think that's the only real play. I can't.
Yeah, you got.
I cannot believe Mad Lions are 7-1. I cannot believe that. But people just don't want to quit this team.
How is okay?
What they're rating those two? Oh my god, that's awful.
Vitality's plus 600. Like
both of them are being rated higher than Misfits. I could see the case against Excel, but like,
bro, it's Haru.
We for real right now?
It's Haru. It's Haru. They brought Haru and Bo in.
I guess. I don't know.
Wait, who brought Haru and Bo in? Mad Lions?
Vitality.
Oh, Vitality?
Mad Lions has, they brought in Niski. That team should be a little bit better. It's pointed out here. Right there.
They brought in match fixing Bo?
Yeah, they did.
Let's go, baby.
I'm gonna have to like copy and paste that in a notepad, like my spiel on Bo, because I'm just gonna have to say it like 16,000 times in the first 4 weeks. Especially if they start off well, I'm just gonna have to say it like 16,000 times.
Can you say it once?
No.
For the please, sir.
Dude had perfect record. Look at the teams he played against. Look at the champ he was playing. Look at those games specifically and what the teams were doing against the champ that he was playing. and I could have been 15-0. Just saying. I think he's going to be good. He's 18? Was stepped into the LPL out of nowhere and was kind of like, I mean, he was good. It wasn't just that. You got to deliver on being ahead. But this dude.
I don't know if you saw, there was one Twitter. I tagged Kevin in it because I knew he thought it was, or he would think it was funny. But there was a guy that was like adamant, absolutely adamant. His post when Selfmade was announced off, he's like, this would be a fine idea if Selfmade was not the literal best jungler in the LEC last split.
Whew.
There are some really delusional fans out there. We saw it with Spenskaren. Now we're seeing it with Selfmade.
Yeah, Kev brings up a good point too. Like I don't even know if he's playing.
Yeah, it's Haru.
It's Haru. They said that he's
No. Haru is coming out and playing this split. Haru is an absolute Chad, and we know that for sure. But it's still Alfari. I think Lebrov's still there. Perks is still terrible, and Karzi's awful too.
I don't know. Would it surprise anyone if that team just like flipped it and they were the best team in the league?
No,
Yeah,
because Haru's there.
That's what's so weird about that team is like, I don't know.
Yeah, and Kevin's response to the tweet was, "Guys must not be watching must be watching the games with their eyes closed." Yeah, like look, Selfmade had some moments, but was not the best jungler in the league.
There you go. Make sure you read your posts because I definitely
Make sure
didn't.
you draft in the second LPL. Gelati, you're up.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's close this out. We've gone for an hour. I think we've covered everything. Gelati, I know you've got things to do. Moose,
Like draft my team in both of these.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And everybody's got to get to
Joffrey's
bed.
been-
Like we've got to wake up in like 6 hours to watch these games. It's a 2-game slate, but we're going to get up. We're going to watch it. We're going to be excited because we've just been deprived of the LPL for so long. We're going to listen to the amazing casters. It's going to be a good time. Moose, final thoughts.
The LPL will still be the most watchable league.
I don't know. LFL's right there for me. Vince.
Enjoy. Season starting back up. Don't jump to conclusions on the first 3 weeks. I think that last season taught us enough about that. Just a friendly reminder.
Vince, how many games is Top Esports going to lose to start the season?
To lose?
They
don't
always lose at the start.
I don't know, because whatever I say, they'll end up going the opposite. Like, to
Aren't
an
they opening
extreme,
against JDG like they did last season?
I don't.
Top opens against JDG.
Every year they opening against JDG.
No, they usually open against like anyone's legend or somebody
Suning.
else.
No, they
No.
open against JDG.
They open against shit teams and they lose, and everybody's like, "Oh, maybe this isn't the year of top." Every year, go back and look.
Top.
Let me see. Who do they
Anyone's
open
legend.
against?
There's a team.
They lost to anyone's legend. They lost to RW 2 years ago, and then they lost like RA last year.
Is anybody else a little bit annoyed that V5 minus rookie for the first however many, probably 3 matches or 4 matches, I would guess. Unless he gets the shit worked out, I don't know. I was looking for that as a prime opportunity to fade the overhype a little bit. Like, not that I think they're going to end up bad, but like those first few games, and no, they end up having to face like, who do they get in the first few rounds? They get like their first game is against Thunder Talk and then LGD, and they get Thunder Talk, LGD, Fun Plus, who's good, and then RNG. Like they get Thunder Plus and LGD to open the season, and then Rookie will probably be back by the time they play FBX.
So Rookie is not playing 4 of the 16 games, and people are just drafting him like without backups or what?
Well, no, you get the backup.
You get the position. You get the backup.
Oh, you get the backup as well.
I thought about that, and I didn't know that's how you guys were doing it because I didn't play these last season. So I'm glad I read that because I was
real quick before we go. I'm going to throw this out. I think a good spot in the TCL, like obviously going to this
where
TCL Turkey.
Turkey.
So Galatasaray Esports plus 130
Galatasaray.
Yeah, whatever.
That one I know.
Against Istanbul Wildcats. Istanbul. I don't know how to say
Istanbul.
Fast pay Wildcats, baby.
But yeah, so they're plus 130, and this is the whole MFI or MSI debuff. You're getting a team. I think Galatasaray won
They
the
finished
spring.
second in the regular season.
Yeah. So now they're plus 130. They were at they were at even odds. So that's a spot that I'm going to attack. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm betting against all of the MSI guys the first 5 games.
Crazies on that team.
So
a couple of the top TCL teams aren't bad. That's actually a really fun league to watch because it's not just like 2 teams shit stomping everybody. Like the top 3 or 4 teams are at least competitive with each other, so it ends up making it a pretty decent thing to watch. I always put it on like in between, like Saturday mornings. That's good. But the TCL's on Saturday mornings in between when the Eastern leagues finish and LEC starts up.
Guys, we're only a week away from me combing through the all of these random Eastern leagues and finding those plus 10,000s. Yeah, well, look, it's going to be a Saturday night. I'm going to find that plus 10,000 team that's going to first pick Twitch when he's not meta. I'm going to convince Kevin before that to bet them. I'm going to send you a parlay that I created that, the $100 will retire generations of my family if it just fits. And it's going to lose on the first leg every single time. So.
But that one time that it doesn't, it will lose on the 8th leg.
Look, here's the thing. No matter if you create a parlay, there is a world where that parlay hits.
Yeah,
absolutely. Think about that. Like we could be living in that reality.
And then you could get a what's it called? Affiliate link for whatever book you're using and tell them, hey, look, everybody go bet all these parlays.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. This is the first show. It's good to be back. We'll be back tomorrow. Maybe. I don't know. I think we'll come back tomorrow. Moose, are you going to be back tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be back.
All right. Well, then we'll have a show tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to talk about because we've just talked about a couple games. We'll talk about what happened, how that changes, and
it's Friday. We could do like a drinking stream.
We could, except I think I don't know. We'll see.
Just make sure you go hard to the paint on whatever confirmation hits. Confirm that bias and just meme it. That's the whole show. Make the whole show about confirmation bias.
We'll try and be on. Yeah, we'll try and be on tomorrow because I think Saturday night I will not be able to be on. I'm going to the national game. Thankfully, DraftKings came through and hooked the guy up for his Onyx stature. So just keeping it up. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining. It's been a pleasure. Let's hit those unders.